So, in honor of Thanksgiving here in the US, I thought that together with the Wisdom Keeper's Oracle, I would offer a reading of sorts, kind of like a moment of reflection that honors both gratitude and truth. And so, I am choosing to call this spread the Bridge of Gratitude. And essentially, it's going to be like a three-card journey that invites us to hold the wholeness of the season, both the sorrow and the celebration, the remembering, and this opportunity for renewal. So the first card that I'm going to pull represents the wound. What pain or separation from the past still needs our witnessing, our honoring. Oh, wow. Okay, so I received the Wisdom Keeper of Grace. She has quite a profound and painful story, and I think I'm going to read you the whole thing because while it's just one woman's experience, her story speaks to the wound of violation and the wound of shame that often goes along with it. And these are sorts of wounds, as we know, that can be experienced by individuals as well as by groups of people, families, tribes, nations. So as I read her story, I invite you to receive it on any or all of the levels that feel relevant to your heart and this time of year, at least here in the US. Okay, so she is the 22nd Wisdom Keeper from a Gene Keys spectrum of consciousness perspective. She brings the gift of graciousness. She reveals the shadow of dishonor, which includes dishonoring the self, and the city or the divine emanation of grace. Okay. My wisdom story. I was born into a well-respected family that cared a great deal about its reputation, but beneath the veneer there was terrible dysfunction. When my body began to change into a beautiful young woman's body, an admired family member abused me sexually. I felt too afraid and ashamed to tell anyone what was happening. Instead, I tried desperately not to feel. Whenever a forbidden feeling arose in my heart, I would throw myself on the floor and pray that God would make me good and pious. Because I showed such unusual religious fervor for a young girl, I was sent to a secluded monastery to live a modest life of study and prayer. Relieved to be in a safe place, I gladly renounced all material things, took a vow of celibacy, and dedicated my life to selflessness. To all at the monastery, I was a proper, calm, and balanced woman and a keen listener. But on the inside, I often seethed with inappropriate feelings that I couldn't bear to accept, much less express. I distrusted my pain, rejected my beauty, hated my needs, and judged my desires. I couldn't say no to requests for support, even when I was sick. I felt disgust at even the tiniest bit of passion, anger, or sexual feelings within me. One day during a prayer group, a sister bravely shared about an experience of having been raped as a child. In the midst of her sharing, my body was hit by a tidal wave of memories, humiliation, and shame. Instead of looking up to God and praying for the feelings to go away, I buried my head in my hands and sobbed. For the first time in my life, I shared about what had happened to me. I hid nothing from anyone, not even myself. As the pain, shame, and loneliness of my past erupted out of my throat, I felt a kind of light and love descend into my chest, one I'd never experienced in all of my days of prayer. And when I opened my eyes, I was met with such love, compassion, and respect that it felt like the entire cosmos was singing. Now I regard myself as deeply as I regard others. I no longer need to hide my beauty, dishonor my boundaries, or withhold my feelings to engage graciously with the world. My gift to you, this is her gift to us. I have come to tell you that there is nothing in you that is unworthy of love or of reverence. The very things you think you should hide or get rid of are exactly what need to be seen, felt, and expressed. Push nothing away. Transparency is the ultimate path towards grace. Be unwaveringly gracious towards every part of yourself, every feeling, every painful experience, by honoring all that is within you, You will experience the poetry and music of even the most agonizing moments. You will naturally find yourself being gracious towards others, touching their emotions, hearts, and souls with the milk of human kindness, and they will bloom in your presence. At your core, you are a gloriously unique manifestation of grace. Honor your suffering, and you will discover your gift to the world. Wow. Okay, so again, just think about this. This is potentially for you, and we're also holding this in the context of the history of this country and all of the underlying hidden dysfunctions beneath the veneer. The U.S. is very good at the veneer. We're very good at that. But we, like all countries, all places around the world, we have our own histories of oppression and violence and brutality. So this is really telling us, let's be transparent with ourselves. Let's remember what happened for ourselves, for the people that we share this country with. And this country has a, what do they say, when the U.S. sneezes, the whole world catches a cold. We have our own impact, our own ripple effect on the larger humanity, the larger globe. So let's really just not hide anything from ourselves and see if we can apply some grace to that. Okay, so here, in the inner guidebook, there are several questions for contemplation, but I thought I would just choose a couple of them that I can remember that feel particularly relevant in this moment. And so the invitation here is just to take them in, let them take you on a journey of contemplation, percolation now and in the coming hours and days. Maybe journal them, maybe write something that comes to you in the comments. So one question would be, are there ways in which you have been dishonoring yourself or someone else or a group of people? Maybe not even intentionally, but maybe unintentionally. Is there a painful truth that really wants to be lovingly witnessed in you, maybe in your ancestral line or in the land where you live that carries the history and the memory? Okay, so those are the questions that I'm inviting all of us to be contemplating together. And that was the first card in our reading. Okay, so now I'm going to choose the second card, which is to not represent the wound, but the gift, right? So this card is here to point us to the gratitude or the wisdom that is emerging, that has emerged through all that we've lived and all that we've learned. And this time I'm only going to read the My Gift to You section, just to keep it short. But for those of you who have the deck or the inner guidebook or the ebook, you can always explore more. Okay, so let's see. I'm pulling a card. The 24th Wisdom Keeper, the gift of invention, and the shadow of addiction. Okay, so let me read my gift to you. All right, so this is the 24th, okay. And just so you know, the greatest divine emanation of this particular wisdom keeper or gene key, according to Richard Rudd, is silence. Okay, my gift to you. I'm here to tell you that addiction is not only about what you do, but how you think. And especially how you think during those moments in your life where you bump up against the unknown, your own ignorance, a deafening silence, and an inner emptiness. There are whole worlds of possibility in the space between thoughts, sounds, even between your impulses and cravings. One of the most difficult yet most rewarding things you can do in life is to embrace those gaps in your awareness. Don't push your anxiety away. Don't fill in those holes. As you make peace with emptiness and befriend uncertainty, your talent for invention, creative thinking, and living will flourish. So, the invitation here is to pay attention to any arising feelings of emptiness or anxiety. that part of us that wants to look away, that wants to fill in the hole, right? And so instead of reaching out for that cookie or the beer or the cup of coffee or even the phone, like you might be looking at right now, or the computer, just take a deep breath and see if you can give yourself just a 3-minute pause and breathe through that temptation to just stuff that discomfort with something else, right? And see what happens. It's very likely that the more you can do this, and I am totally talking to myself right now, an unexpected gift will make itself known to you, perhaps the gift of innovation, invention. Okay, so the third card that I'm going to pull is connected to the prayer, right? So we had the wound and we had the gift, and now it's the prayer. How can we live in a way that helps restore harmony and reciprocity between the human heart and the earth, between our hearts as individuals and the hearts of humanity? Okay, so I'm now going to pull a card. Let's see what comes. I love it. This is one of my all-time favorite. Wisdom Keepers, the Wisdom Keeper of Delight. Okay, so, and just so you know, the shadow, according to Richard Rudd, of this particular gene key is seriousness, and the divine emanation is ecstasy. Not bad for us. Not bad. Okay, so my wisdom story. Though my parents wanted us to be happy, they were unhappy people. My mother was a frigid woman, ashamed of her body and obsessed with its every ache and pain. Terrified of evil spirits, she constantly reprimanded me and my brother when our play became too free or spontaneous. My father was a hard-working man with a traumatic past. Afraid our wild instincts would lead to danger, he tried to control our every move. My brother reacted to our parents by taking nothing seriously, not even their punishments. He always was having fun, and they were always disapproving of his frivolousness. Once they had a fight that was so bad, he stormed out of the house and never returned. Though I felt my parents' grief, I secretly envied my brother. Why couldn't I be laid back and free like him? Why did I have to care so much about what everyone thought? I was always wishing I was different, more clever, less fat, more successful. As I matured, I came to understand that true happiness required more than physical beauty and outer achievements. So I prioritized the inner world and embarked on a serious spiritual journey. I sat in silence and prayed, participated in countless ceremonies. But still I wasn't happy. I was still afraid of life. Sure, I was doing it all wrong and that nothing would ever work out for me, not even enlightenment. One day, as I sat under a tree struggling to meditate, an old woman appeared. She took a good look at me, my sacred altar, and the somber expression on my face. Then, without asking for permission, she grabbed my hand and pulled me to a clearing in the forest by a beach. I'll never forget the sounds of laughter in the distance, or the glorious sight upon our arrival of the most gleeful gathering of women I'd ever seen. In every shape, size, and age, and dressed in the most fantastic clothing, they moved around a giant fire, singing and dancing with total abandon. Before I knew it, they took off their clothes and jumped gleefully into the water. I was laughing so hard I forgot all about how I looked or what anybody thought. I threw off my clothes and twirled my way into the ocean. That full moon night marked the beginning of my lucky life. And here is her gift to us. I come to share an ultimate truth. Nothing really matters but life and love. It's time for you to enjoy life's small pleasures and to relax in your own body no matter how it looks. You can surf life like an exciting wave, whether or not you understand what's happening. But to do this, you must first be willing to let go of the past. Release all agendas and keep your mind as open as your heart. Remember, the less seriously you take things, the easier it becomes to get out of your own way and allow life's delightful surprises to take you exactly where you need to go at exactly the right time. The magnificent and magical universe is at work in you all of the time. ah, so let's see if there's a question for us here. Where are you taking life too seriously? Maybe that's a good one. And then there's an invitation here to watch a funny, heartwarming movie. That's a great thing to do at this time of the year. So may this bridge of gratitude help all of us, myself included, honor and acknowledge and just weave together the old and the new so that gratitude isn't just a momentary feeling that passes, but an ongoing practice of right relationship.